reply to my tweet last night. What were the biggest stories in wrestling business in 2021?
All right, I can read those for you. So David George Kosh, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit on there, but the fact investors don't see much growth in WWE relative to a benchmark index should be indicative. I can't pronounce that. Of a broader story here. Indicative, or yeah,
Indicative.
All right, and then MJ.
Indicative.
Yeah, I don't know why it's just not. I think I found the word that stumped me.
It is a difficult word. Indicative.
And MJ, the devaluing of pro wrestlers and input costs, including their aggressive reach into third-party revenue streams for talent, as well as the WWE stock not showing any strength or participating in broader bull market, turning TV rights renewal into a make-or-break moment circa 2013.
MJ from NJ may or may not be holding certain positions in WWE stock. I don't know. But so, yeah, just their point was just near to what I was just saying, that there's this bull market. There's a pretty strong stock market here, but WWE's not really correlating to that. They're basically flat over the year. I mean, there's been a lot of bounce. We can look at this chart again for people watching on YouTube. It's really just been a bounce of up, down, up, down, up, down. WWE had a run this year as a meme stock, as Wall Street Bets took interest in WWE for a minute or two there. So yeah, I don't know. What we're seeing a lot is, the stock price will go down after earnings calls. But yeah, I think if I have no positions in WWE, I have no plans in the next 72 hours or next 72 months to initiate any such positions. But I think the WWE stock is somewhat undervalued, based on the assumption that the value of WWE is approximately 14 or 15 times their forward-looking EBITDA over the next 12 months. Follow me there? I essentially, based on a formula that people use to determine the value of companies like WWE, 14x, 15x EBITDA, based on how I think WWE is going to perform, I think WWE's a little bit undervalued. So I think they're still in a good position considering where Raw ranks, where SmackDown ranks among programming. Generally, I think they're still in a good position to grow their media rights value in the next round. That said, I think there's some vulnerability there because you got content that's turning people off and is not attracting people, and it's going to be that way as long as Vince McMahon is in charge of creative. So that's always going to be a vulnerability as long as Vince McMahon is in control of creative. But there's no negative trend in their rank among other programming. So I think they're still in a good position, and they have Nick Khan in charge of making those deals, and he seems to be somebody who had a lot of success making those deals. So I think there's good reason to be optimistic about their media rights value going forward in the next round of U.S. rights, which is coming up, probably going to start this coming year. Probably going to be completed 2023. So there's that. And we'll see something in the year to come about where their quote unquote Hulu rights will land. Probably not with Hulu, be my guess. Maybe with Peacock, maybe with Amazon, maybe with Chris Gullo thinks Tubi. Tubi all the way.
Tubi TV.
Tubi.
Yeah.
We'll see. Why this lack of excitement in W stock these days? Is AEW really a factor here? I think that's one of the big dichotomies that I'm always trying to, it's always sort of in the back of my mind, is like, this is going to be a long show, by the way.
Yeah, it's okay. There's no Bills home games, so we're having fun.
One of the things that's always in the back of my mind is like the Wrestlenomics content, our content. It's mostly wrestling fans who have a business interest in, a fascination with the business of pro wrestling. And there's, across the continuum of people who are, interested in it purely as a stock or people who have a wider media business interest. But I'm not totally clear about, in Stamford and in Titan Tower, how much are they really thinking about AEW? I'm certain they're thinking about AEW more than they let on, where they, it's, I guess, only the smart thing from a PR standpoint to downplay the extent to which they are competition AEW is. So certainly they care more than they show publicly. Nick Khan saying things like, "I've never thought about a competitor," and we're in the media business, not the wrestling business. But how much does whatever AEW is doing? AEW's had some relative success here. Does the stock market see that as a vulnerability for WWE? To some extent. To how much of extent, I'm not sure. I think it is a risk that to WWE stock that is AEW could just speaking from this is not me speculating that it's going to happen, but purely from if I were, which I am not, a financial advisor. This is not investment advice, nor should it be construed as such. I think it's always a risk for the foreseeable future that AEW's popularity is going to suddenly exceed. They're going to catch fire with some talent or something like that and become this much more popular brand of wrestling than they are now, and surpass WWE in terms of popularity and in terms of unlimited numbers of categories. So I think that risk is always there, and that could have a really serious effect on WWE's ratings and other areas, which could tremendously hurt their value as a company. I don't see that as extremely likely, but it's very possible that could happen at any point, or that there is a breaking point somewhere in the future that just hasn't arrived yet, where there could be finally rapid, sort of think about it as like, there's somebody living in the floor above you who's, they're putting too much stuff on their floor, and they're getting ready to fall through the ceiling. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't look too bad. There is a little bit of, it does look like the ceiling is weakening a bit, but it doesn't look like they're going to fall through the ceiling, because I can't really see what's on that floor above me. And then eventually, boom, everything falls through and it falls down on top of me. Maybe a point like that is coming. Again, I don't think that's super likely, but that's possible. How much does AEW matter to WWE? Probably quite a bit. Probably should matter quite a bit. That said, it's not inappropriate. It's appropriate enough to think about, WWE in the wider media landscape, in terms of all the opportunities it has to make money and for revenue growth, in terms of licensing their IP across all sorts of things, which is what Nick Khan is there to do, in part, to license The Rock to the Young Rock, and to license them across gaming, across all the things that they're trying to do with places like Cameo, and to make better deals with a trading card partner like Panini, not a sandwich company, but a trading card company, and things of that nature. So, yeah, I think the AEW factor is real. It's something that I'm always thinking about how much to focus on that. In the times where I talk to people in the investment world, that's a big subject that I talk about with them. And I wonder if it's just because I'm the wrestling guy, or, as opposed to being the non-wrestling media guy, but that's just an area that I'm prepared to talk about more so than maybe other people that they talk to. But yeah.